Hello, humans of the internet. My name is Hessie and welcome to my channel. This is a channel where we talk about autism, disabilities, mental illness, and service dogs. Today's video is completely focused on dogs and specifically service dogs. So I'm a service dog handler who lives in an apartment and who is a full-time student. That means my dog needs a lot of ways to keep busy while I'm sitting in front of the computer studying. So these are six tips on how I keep my dog busy during my school day or tutoring or whatever. These are always great to keep their minds active, and a busy mind is a lazy body, which is great if you have limited space. All of these are things that work for me and have been safe with my dog, but I want to preface this by saying that each dog is different, and please make sure that you ensure that when you try these out for the first time, you put in all the safety measures that could possibly be needed. You know your dog better than I do, and essentially you still need to look after your baby because they are your child. But yeah, please subscribe, follow me on Instagram, Facebook, whatever, it's all linked down below, and you can check out my channel videos. The previous videos that I've posted will be linked down below, and I hope you guys can use these tips and tricks on your lovely fur friend back at home.
This is by far the most common trick for keeping your dog busy, and that is stuffing a Kong with some peanut butter or wet dog food. You could, if you don't have a Kong, also use old peanut butter containers or anything that your dog could lick out of. Just make sure that the rim can't hurt their tongue. You can stuff some wet dog food, peanut butter, Greek yogurt, and even some fruit, put it in there, freeze it overnight, and then give it to your dog the next day. It's a no-mess, easy trick.
So this one is a very easy one, although this is not something that you're commonly just gonna have around. Raindrop, come this side, go, down, good boy. So this is a Snuffle Mat. Snuffle Mats can look all kinds of ways. This is a very higher grade one. Rainy, no, he's very excited, he loves his treats. This is just something he can sniff around in, very nice for dogs with a high treat drive and who likes sniffing things out. This is a great way to get them to use their noses, and a busy nose means a busy brain. However, not everyone has a Snuffle Mat. As you can see, Raindrop loves his Snuffle Mat. Come this way. But not all dogs will like that, and some dogs won't have the persistence to keep going. So Raindrop has a very determined dog, and service dogs need to be determined, so this is great for him. But some dogs just do literally what he's doing now, picks it up and walks away with it, and then everything falls out. So here is my improvised version of a Snuffle Mat. So I'm using my jersey. I'm not actually giving this to Raindrop, I just want to make that very clear. But this is a crocheted jersey. So crocheted items usually have larger holes in them. This is the best example I have in my house at the moment. But you want to get a blanket. I think most people have a crochet blanket lying around that some relative made for them. And you can use treats and hide them within the crochet blanket. So you want to make sure you're not feeling too sorry or sentimental about this thing, because it could break, it could tear up, the dog could tear it. But if you leave the treats within the blanket, they're going to have to move the blanket around to get the treats out. And the holes just make it slightly easier so that they not getting discouraged, and they can get through to the treats kind of. Another alternative would be using an old towel or something, again, you don't mind getting torn, and just kind of bunching it up and throwing your treats all in there. That's just a bit more entry level to see if your dog would like something like a Snuffle Mat, and then you could purchase a Snuffle Mat. So those you usually find at local flea markets and things like that. Rainy, come on. You can find Snuffle Mats at local flea markets and certain pet stores, but you could also get them online, or you could make them. There's a lot of tutorials online for Snuffle Mats that you can make quite cheap. But yeah, So pizza boxes are going to be your best friend, but you could use any box really that you don't mind getting ripped apart. Even paper bags. Look at this one, he's so ready for this exercise. But these are very great, especially for younger dogs who have a lot of frustration. And I like this exercise a lot because it is quite nice when it's rainy outside and they don't really get to get rid of those frustrations and they like tearing things up. So pizza boxes already have type pizza smell inside, which would mean your dog's already going to want to like tear this apart and eat this up. But if you're working with a box that does not have food smells inside, you go and just drop a couple of treats in there to get your dog going for the first one, Rainy. Excuse you, sir. He is very excited. Get your dog going. If you're working with a dog who's a bit more hesitant to tear things, you can obviously move this way. You can literally poke holes in the box, start tearing it in front of them, and then they will do what my lovely child is now doing and decide to get the box and just start tearing it up. He gets to push that around, he gets to play with that. That keeps him busy depending on the box that I have and depending on how many boxes I put inside of each other, anywhere from like 10 minutes to hours. And the fun thing is he keeps getting to rip the box more and more. You can hear him in the background pushing things around and wanting to get to that box. But yeah, you could do larger boxes and then put smaller boxes inside and have different levels of treats and different high rewards. The big thing is though, to get this going, you want a very high value reward inside of the box with a very strong smell. So things like steak or wet treats are going to be better for this exercise to begin with. But once your dog is more comfortable with tearing things or just the sound that things make when they move it around, you can use even their dry food and just feed them like that. I've done that a couple of times with Raindrop since we've moved into the flat. Since I don't always have, especially in the morning, the time or the ability to walk him as soon as he wakes up, and then he gets his morning food in a box, gets to tear that apart, gets out a little bit of his frustration until the weather clears up and I can take him for a proper walk. So another trick, this is a bit more of a lazy one, or just getting your dog to be a bit more interactive with their food if you're not going to train them that morning before you're having food, and that's just scatter feeding. It's literally as simple as just throwing the food that you would usually put the bowl on the ground in a larger space. You could do a little bit in one room, a little bit in another room, or if you have a garden and some grass that's a little bit longer, you could just throw it all over the grass and then you just sniff out the food. It's a very, very great thing. So simple and really fun for the dogs, because as soon as that nose starts to work, the more brain activity is going on and the more busy they will stay. And Sir is here. Food is not as fun as treats. So if you have a dog, Rainy, cameraman being attacked by my dog. Come Rainy, come this side. If you have a dog who does not like their kibble so much, you could even mix in a couple of treats just to get it going. It is a lot of fun to throw out the food onto the grass and then throw in a couple of treats in between. But yeah, there's not much to say about this one. It's a super simple trick. Very good for your puppies who are having to work a little bit harder to find their food. Great for that drive. Okay, so the first thing that people tell you when you're saying, oh, I need a dog, I need to have my dog keep them busy, they're like, Kongs. Okay, great. So Kongs are great, but not all dogs are going to like a Kong, because they need to really go at it to get those, that peanut butter or whatever you put in your Kong. To get that out, and some dogs don't have that motivation. So especially for younger dogs who you still want to give a bit more of an immediate reward to, the hooves are great. Now I personally do have a problem with just giving your dog a hoof and going like, oh, whoop-de-doo, go eat on this. This can break off, these parts can get stuck in them. So you want to be very selective about the ones that you do choose. Make sure you're having high quality products, nothing that's going to chip off and that's going to get stuck in their throat. And this is a bit more of one, you're not going to give this to your dog and then leave for a couple of hours and then only come back. You're gonna give this to your dog while you're in like the next room doing some stuff that you don't want your dog to be involved with necessarily, but you're still having a bit of an ear for, is my dog choking, essentially. It's not a big danger, but it is something to bear in mind. So essentially, you'll be stuffing the hoof the same way you do a Kong. So we're just gonna use some peanut butter here. This is doggy peanut butter. The big thing with peanut butter, you can use any peanut butter that has no sugar or artificial sweeteners in it. You could even get away with using a peanut butter that does contain sugar, but no xylitol at all. That's a big one. So these health peanut butters that you buy at health stores, they usually do not contain sweeteners, sugar, but they could contain other things like xylitol, which you do not want because that's very toxic to dogs. So I'm just putting peanut butter and then I'm stuffing the strawberry in there like that. Does that look yummy? Does that look yummy? Yummy, yummy. Ah, lick. Only licks, only licks. There we go. So this is a very nice way to start off. I have some cheese here. You could put blocks of cheese along with with peanut butter. And if you have one of those very rare dogs who do not like peanut butter, very rare, but I have heard of that. I actually had someone during the week tell me that they've tried Kongs, but their dog does not like peanut butter and they don't know what to put in it. And something I found that works really well also as a base is plain double thick yogurt or cream cheese. Again, make sure that your dog is not going to have stomach workings from the cream cheese. So start off with a very little bit, a teaspoon at most. See if that goes. If that goes well, then you can increase to a tablespoon, and then you can move on to something stuffing a Kong with cream cheese or whatever. So I will be popping this into the freezer overnight. I know Raindrop is going to be very upset when I take this away from him right now. But pop this into the freezer overnight. Tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon, I'll give this to him. He gets to chew on this in the same room as me, but he gets his frustration out. He gets to keep busy, and he gets to have a lovely treat that's healthy as well. So this one is one of my favorite ones. It is so easy to do. Basically, you just have a block of ice that you put in the freezer overnight. Rainy, sit. I inserted some carrots and blueberries, and I mixed the water that I used to freeze it, a little bit of honey in it to it, just to give him that a little bit of extra encouragement. This you can just tip over, and there you go. He will then start looking at it, push it around, and it's a lovely toy for when you want to keep them busy for a really long time. Usually I give this to him if I have an exam or something like that coming up, and I need him to just be super quiet and in one place for a long time, since he can't really carry this around either. This is best for outside, obviously. Also a great toy to leave with them if you are going out somewhere and your dog has social anxiety.